Hello, you are listening to The Wellness Project with Des. I'm your host, Desiree, a mental health therapist and holistic wellness coach. On my podcast, I interview experts in the field of mental health and wellness, as well as those who share their firsthand accounts of their mental health journeys. These interviews will give you many tips, tools, and strategies to improve your mental health, as well as give you hope, support, encouragement, and inspiration on your own personal mental health and wellness journey. Thanks so much for being here. I would greatly appreciate it if you took a moment to leave me a review on iTunes and leave the podcast 5 stars on Spotify. It really helps the podcast to grow, which in turn helps me to keep bringing on amazing guests and spreading mental health and wellness education and support. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode. Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey towards holistic well-being, unlocking the full potential of your mind, body, and spirit? If so, I'm thrilled to invite you to my program, the Holistic Wellness Transformation Coaching Program. My one-to-one coaching program is a comprehensive and individualized approach to help you improve your overall well-being. As a holistic wellness coach, I'm here to guide you on a transformative journey to attain balance and harmony in all areas of your life. With personalized coaching sessions, I'll offer guidance and support throughout your wellness journey. Starting with a thorough holistic assessment. We'll dive into your past, habits, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and patterns that may be holding you back and no longer serving you. This assessment forms the foundation for your customized wellness plan. Together, we'll explore the 8 foundational elements of wellness to ensure you feel balanced and aligned with your goals and your values. This program goes beyond the surface, providing you with mental and emotional support. I will help you to manage stress, anxiety, and other challenges such as perfectionism and people-pleasing, offering techniques and strategies to enhance your resilience and your skills. The benefits of this program cannot be overstated. I'll be there every step of the way to support you in achieving balance and harmony in your life, manage stress, and improve your emotional well-being. Nurture healthy connections, create lasting, healthy habits, achieve your goals, and gain confidence in your ability to transform your life. Join me on this journey to holistic wellness. You could go to my website to check out my various packages, and you could go to my Calendly link found in the show notes to schedule a free 30-minute consultation call where we will go over the 8 core areas of wellness, as well as your goals and your dream life. Reach out and let's get started on your wellness journey so you can finally live the life you want. Hey there, thanks for being here. I'm your host Des and you are listening to episode number 167. And on today's episode, I am speaking with Brittany Cano. Brittany is the founder of Holistic Nurse Coaches, and she has a background in critical care in ICU nursing. Now, Brittany has a unique perspective being in the medical field and also in the holistic wellness space. I'm very passionate about holistic wellness. I am a holistic wellness coach after all, and I really wanted to get Brittany's perspective of bridging the gap between modern medicine, the medical model, and holistic wellness. Brittany shares her own personal story that even though she was a nurse, she wasn't exactly living a healthy lifestyle, and her life completely changed when she was seeing patient after patient come in with completely preventable conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, type 2 diabetes. There was such a shift that was made for her that these people in their 60s were coming in so unhealthy. This was a wake-up call for Brittany, and she decided to found Holistic Nurse Coaches. She's passionate, just like I am, about bridging that gap between the medical model and holistic wellness. And she talks about something called lifestyle medicine, which we dive really deep into. I mean, this is going to be such a great conversation. It's going to be so helpful, so valuable. I would get out a notepad and take a bunch of notes or download this episode because you are going to want to listen to it on repeat. Such important nuggets of wisdom in here that you are not going to want to miss. I absolutely love talking with Brittany, and in fact, Brittany actually interviewed me on her Facebook Live just today. Well, actually, at the time of this recording, it will be 2 days ago. She interviewed me on Tuesday, August 6th. And I actually spoke with Brittany quite a while ago. This interview takes place about 2 months ago before I moved, but I wanted to coincide this going live with my interview with her. So I'm going to link my other conversation with her in the show notes. So this is on her Facebook Live, but it is public, so you'll be able to go see that. And Brittany interviews me about decluttering and the impact that clutter has on our mental health, which is another topic that you know that I'm very passionate about, decluttering. So I loved talking to Brittany earlier today. Such a great conversation. Clutter is something that I could just talk about forever. And as most of you know, if you've been following me here, that I just moved to Washington State a month ago, just over a month. I can't believe it, how fast time is flying. But I talk about in our conversation how I had to declutter again before we moved and now after we moved again, because we went from a really big house to a small, not tiny, but small, much smaller apartment. I mean, half the size of our house. So I'm having to declutter again. So, decluttering for me, unfortunately, is a continuous journey. I wish it was a one and done, but I guess with as much as I move and travel, it's just kind of ingrained in my life and something that comes up again and again. So, I am once again in the midst of decluttering, and I'm also going to share in the show notes my decluttering challenge. I have a 30-day declutter challenge, a very nice, easy PDF that you're able to download and print, and it will help guide you through your decluttering journey. So, it's a really great place to start. So, if you love my conversation with Brittany today, you are definitely going to want to go and check out my other conversation with her. I just love talking with her. She's so great. I think you're going to love these two conversations. So, I'm not going to delay any further. Help me welcome Brittany. All right, everyone. I am here with Brittany. Brittany, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Desiree. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So I would love if you could get us started by introducing yourself, telling us who you are, sharing your story with us.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Brittany Cano. I am the founder of Holistic Nurse Coaches. And how did that come to be? I think now back on my journey and I'm like, this is where I was destined to end up in so many ways. But really, my background's in critical care and ICU nursing. And about 11 years ago, I was in my mid to late 20s and struggling with my physical health, overweight, had, depressed, super anxious, lots of like gastritis, GI kind of symptoms. And on the outside looking in, people would say, like, oh, she's got a great life, right? Like things look really good on paper. And at first I would tell you, yeah, I'm happy, things are great. But if I was to be honest, there was a lot of like sadness and depression and a lot of unresolved trauma there. And so I really got into the world of coaching, hence my love and the founding of Holistic Nurse Coaches. And around that same time, I had a patient in ICU that was a code blue. And so if anybody listening isn't familiar with that, it's when somebody either stops breathing or their heart stops or they're in really, bad shape, right? They're potentially on the verge of death, or maybe they've already like briefly checked out. And she came to ICU and she was this young lady, right? Early 60s, with everything that she had, in her chart was preventable conditions like type 2 diabetes. She was considered obese, which, a large population in America are technically considered obese, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And I just remember thinking, like, oh my gosh, she could have avoided, right, potentially this situation. And that's really when I started my business as well. So it was a combination of my own turnaround with my health, with my mental health, spiritual health, and then as well as really seeing how many patients in the ICU had other resources and utilized them. They could have potentially not ever even ended up in the hospital. So super passionate about what I do because of my own journey. And then also just seeing the difference that, these holistic wellness practices make for people.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing all of that. That's really intense and quite a wake-up call. And it's interesting that the wake-up call for you was kind of through somebody else's misfortune and not really taking care of their health. So you talk about something called lifestyle medicine. Can you explain what you mean by this and what that kind of looks like?
Of course. Yes. So the way I really was able to turn my health around and the way I work with clients, one of the modalities is lifestyle medicine. And so what is lifestyle medicine? It is really using these free tools, many of them free, that are so accessible and have the potential to keep us healthy and also even reverse disease. So some of those things that fall into the umbrella of lifestyle medicine is the food that we eat. Well, I know food's not free, everybody's probably thinking, but we're eating anyway, right? Our food has the potential to really energize and fuel us and give us the vitality to live a healthy life. And it can also, our food can make us extremely sick if we're, eating things that we're allergic to or that are heavily processed, all those things. Other things that fall under the umbrella of lifestyle medicine is breath. The breath really is a form of medicine. And yes, we know we breathe to stay alive. And so much of the time we're not aware that we're breathing. And we can learn so much about ourselves and really heal so much through the breath. So there's so many different ways we can regulate our nervous system through the way that we breathe so we can create a sense of calm, or we can do the opposite if we're shallow breathing or holding our breath due to, let's say, anxiety or stress or tension, and that has a negative effect. And through the power of the breath, we can create a sense of inner calm. We can activate that rest and digest part of the nervous system. The breath, when used in specific ways, can also really release like built up energy and old memories and trauma. So the breath is another thing that falls under lifestyle medicine. And there's a bunch of different tools that I use with clients as far as lifestyle medicine, but those are just a couple that really, the breath everyone has access to. And we're eating anyway. So how can we align our eating habits to support us in our health, or, two of those things that fall under that umbrella.
Okay, I love all of that you mentioned, and I have so many questions. So, when we think about our health, I think it's really common that people focus on their physical health, right? Kind of what they're eating and exercise. But there's so much, like you said, this is like a holistic framework. So, what are the puzzle pieces you think are missing? I know you mentioned the breath, but what else are we kind of forgetting when we think about our health as a whole?
That's such a great question. So when I transitioned from just doing critical care nursing and when I opened up my holistic wellness practice, I came in through the approach of personal training, so through fitness and through health coaching with a focus on nutrition. And those are, yes, definitely huge aspects of health. And like you said, there are other pieces of health that are equally of value, and sometimes we forget about them. The mindset piece is huge, right? The mindset, our thoughts really can have the power to dysregulate our nervous system. We can think about something and catastrophize it and really go into a story or go down that negative loophole or be in that rumination, right? Our mind can do that, or our mind has the ability to be in a place of mindfulness, right? To be aware that, oh, okay, this is happening. And how do I best support myself right now? What do I really need right now? Oh, these anxious thoughts are coming up. What is the need here? So our mind is really an important part of this. Our overall mental well-being and our stress level. We're dealing with so much these days as far as all of the information that we receive and being so connected to technology, which has its benefits, but also the speed in which we live, many of us at least, can cause a lot of stress. So stress management is a huge aspect of our health, and I can't really even begin to speak enough into that sometimes stress is just accumulative, or we've always lived in this pressure cooker, so we may think that it's normal, and it might be air quotes normal for us. And listening and getting curious about any of the symptoms our body is presenting to us. We all can have the capacity to deal with a lot of stress, and many of us are just drudging through. At least that's what I find, especially with the women that I work with. It's like we're just pushing through, right? It's the survival mode that's running the show more than the capacity to really manage all of the stress, if that makes sense. And so listening to the body symptoms, so headaches, GI issues, always tired, can't sleep at all, super anxious or depressed, or like not engaged at all in life anymore, not caring anymore, having difficulty focusing. All of these things can have a root, stress is the root. And so starting to get curious about whatever symptoms, if you're having symptoms, what are the symptoms trying to reveal to you, right? What are they trying to show you? So stress management is another big part of our overall health. Relationships too, our community or lack of community, and the people we surround ourselves with is so important. They've done studies now showing that loneliness takes years off of our life. And even though, we're connected digitally, we might be lacking in that actual loving, connected, intimate support systems. And those are so important to our overall health, as well as our spiritual well-being. When I work with people, I work with them from that holistic model, the biopsychosocial spiritual model. So physical, mental, emotional, social, and then the spiritual. So everyone, has their own definitions of what their spiritual life is, and it's an important aspect of our health. And so when I work with clients, I help them, explore what spirituality means for them. For some people, it's, their gratitude practice, being connected to nature, knowing that there's something greater than themselves. For other people, it's really getting plugged into a synagogue or church or temple. It can look so many different ways. And it is a part of who we are as human beings. It's that spiritual aspect of us, something greater than ourselves that connects us to life.
Oh, great. Yes, I love all of this. And you must have such a unique perspective because you were in critical care and an ICU nurse, but now you do holistic nurse coaching. So you have such a unique perspective. So, where do you think that the gap is between conventional medicine and holistic wellness?
I love that question. So this is a topic of much conversation in my inner circles. Part of the gap that I find is that there tends to be a us versus them mentality with conventional and holistic, that there's like two totally separate entities. So what I see possible is that, there becomes more of a blending and appreciation for each other. So I think that's one of the first gaps, is there tends to be this illusion that we're on different teams, and having, one foot in the medical conventional world and one foot in the holistic wellness world. I think that most practitioners really have the same goal in mind, and that's to help people and to serve people. So I think it's more of a, as a practitioner, remembering that. And also, I think staying educated and being able to know when conventional medicine is going to be the best route and when a holistic approach is going to be complementary, and how do you blend the two? Because there is, right, a place where a CAT scan is going to give you really solid information that you may not get if you don't otherwise have that exam done.
I think you really described that really well. Thank you for that. And I think a lot of people do kind of struggle with that, that there is this gap. And I think there is kind of this movement now. It just seems to be a lot more popular and in the media a lot more, that people don't want to just go to the doctor and take a pill. People really are looking to focus on their holistic wellness, looking at their diet, the things that they eat, getting more steps in. I think people are realizing how bad sitting for us is all day. And we are really all live this sedentary lifestyle now. We're indoors a lot of the time. We have this disconnection from nature. And I think people are realizing that this isn't the way that we were meant to live. And it's not only impacting our mental health, but it's impacting our physical health in the long term.
It really is. It really is. And as a consumer or as a patient, it really is up to us to advocate for ourselves. Like, yes, we hope and pray and intend that our practitioners, our doctor, our nurse, our whoever we go to support us in our wellness have our best interest in mind, and encouraging everyone who's listening to be that advocate for yourself, right? Empower yourself, do your research, ask questions. Typically, so many things are not necessarily a super straightforward answer. Like sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. And so being able to be our own advocate and really get to know ourselves more as well is so important in our health journey.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I always tell people to, see different types of doctors, practitioners, get second, third opinions. And for me, with my kind of health journey, Facebook groups were actually super, super helpful, forming that community around health and wanting to be well and getting advice from people who have been kind of through the same thing. So I actually found a great community there and a lot of support and a lot of recommendations from people who are kind of going through the same thing that I was.
I love that you mentioned that because that's something that I really encourage clients to do too. And also, that's been instrumental in my healing journey when I look back, is finding that like-minded support system. We're not meant to be in this journey of life alone, and there really is so much support out there when we're willing to start to look for it. There's so many people who've been in similar situations, and we can learn from each other and also support each other. And then again, with those kinds of things, using our discernment, because there's a lot of noise out there as well, and finding those groups that really do support us and the information that is going to help us with our health.
Yes, absolutely. So when we talk about holistic wellness, holistic health, that can look really overwhelming for people. So do you have any ideas or tips? I mean, you've shared so much already, but do you have any small actionable steps that someone can take if they want to work on their wellness in a holistic framework?
I sure do. I do. And yes, it can be overwhelming because there is so much information out there. So, for people listening, that word holistic, it's really who we are, right? It's all aspects of ourselves and they're all intertwined and interconnected. So if you think about when you do something that's supportive or nourishing or healthy for your body, it also has a positive effect on our mind. It often has positive effect on our relationships, on how we feel emotionally and spiritually. So a great place to start is wherever you are, first of all. Sometimes we like to think about running a 5K before we've even, walked around the block, right? We just kind of like look at the whole where I need to be, think we need to be, and it can be overwhelming. So first and foremost, meeting yourself where you're at and being really honest and finding compassion and being okay with where you're at, and starting with something that you feel willing and able to do. And so that's going to be different for everyone. But those tiny habits, those building blocks is really the foundation. And then from there, we can build upon those. But we want to encourage people to do something that they're willing to do, that they feel confident that they can do, because not only are we creating these healthy habits, but we're also increasing or elevating our belief in ourselves that we can. So it can be as simple as, you know what? I'm going to start to notice my breath 3 times a day and practice breathing down into my belly and relaxing my shoulders and breathing nice and slowly out. on the exhale. So to practice deep breathing, because deep breathing is a great way to, like I mentioned before, regulate the nervous system. So create that inner calm, helps us get to know ourselves, to take a pause, to take a step back from just the average day of going, going, going. And it also can connect us to the present moment. So it gets us out of that automatic and gives us a chance to say, oh, okay, what's happening right here in my life? So it creates also a pause. And from a place of pausing, right, getting off of just an automatic, we can start to really cultivate the sense of choice. So then, okay, what would support me best? A glass of pop or soda or a glass of water? And so we start to be able to check in more with what's really going to support us and then start to choose from that place. So the breath is a great place. Walking, like you mentioned, we're sitting more than ever. So adding in more walking. These are really simple things, but we want to make sure we got those building blocks in first. And then adding a nourishing food too. If you're not eating healthy at all, start with one meal. I'm going to have one meal where I eat something healthy. If you're already eating pretty healthy, maybe you want to have a couple meals a day where you're eating more fruits and vegetables and real food, sweet potatoes, lean proteins if you do consume animal products, like lean animal product there, such as grass-fed beef or grilled chicken, those kinds of things, shrimp, but eating things that come from their natural source. So food as close to its natural form as possible instead of a ton of ingredients and, prepackaged. So I say that's a really good starting place.
Those are really great tips. And I love that you talked about that grounding in the present moment because I feel like we spend so much of our time in the past and the future, especially just living in this kind of go, go, go busy society. Everybody's so busy. We have a million to do lists. We have lists of our to do lists. We have so many things to do. We're thinking about everything that, our planners, our Google calendars. So I feel like a lot of us get caught up in that and it's really hard to ground in the present moment. So I really liked that you mentioned that. And I love that question you said to ask ourselves, what would support me best? I think that's such a great question and a great thing to keep in mind. And it really is encouraging and it's inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, and yeah, like you were saying, Desiree, we have so much on our schedule these days and so many things calling our attention. And so taking time to pause, taking time of silence, of stillness is more important than ever. And also reflecting, is my life in alignment with my values? Because sometimes we just get so caught up in our to-do list and all of the demands of life that we can lose sight of what is really most valuable to us. And I think that that is so important to people at the core of it, is that their life is in alignment with their values. And it can be so easy to lose sight of what is most important to me when we do have so many things on our plate. So that stillness, the breath, those times in silence, those pauses give us an opportunity to make sure we're living the life that we truly want to be living and that's true and authentic for us.
Oh, Brittany, I loved all of this. Such great stuff, so much wisdom, so many actionable steps and tools that people can take with them. I would love if you could share where everyone can find you.
Yes, so the best place to find me, then you can find me on all my social media from there, is at holisticnursecoaches.com. So if you go over to my website, you can find more about my work. You can also find a way to connect with me on there as well. So if what I spoke to today is something that resonated with you, then I would encourage you to please set up a Discover Elevated Well-Being section with me, and we'll go through your unique holistic wellness profile, and I can share more with you about what it looks like to work together and what your next steps are on your holistic wellness journey. I do a full holistic wellness assessment. It's a really great way to reflect on your, not just your physical health, like we were talking about, but also your mental, emotional, relationship, spiritual health, and really get clear on what it is that you want for your life and what's most important to you. So holisticnursecoaches.com.
Perfect. Everyone, I will put all of those links in the show notes, so make sure you definitely go check out Brittany. And Brittany, just to close us out, do you have any last words of wisdom or advice for our listeners?
Yes, I do. I do. I do. I am huge on the practice of self-compassion. A lot of times we can be our biggest enemy or critic or really hard on ourselves. And there's a lot of suffering that comes through that, right? Through that being so hard on ourselves or overly worrying about things or overly anxious. So encouraging anyone who's listening, whoever finds themselves down on themselves or, in that state of anxiety or worry to acknowledge that, right? Acknowledge that that's what's happening and remember that they're not alone in that. It's very common to experience these things. I believe it's kind of part of the human condition. And with that being said, leaving you with that question to ask yourself, like, what do I really need right now? And then offering yourself that support. So sometimes it might be to be really kind and gentle with yourself, or think about how would somebody else support you if it's hard to support yourself, right? How would somebody else you look up to support you? Or how would you support somebody who is going through what you're going through right now? And it could also be an opportunity, like we talked about, to advocate for yourself, whether that's to motivate yourself or to set a boundary or to encourage yourself, but really to start to become your own friend, right? Your own ally. And one of those ways we can do that is through the power of self-compassion and being connected to what we really need moment to moment and being able to provide for our own needs as much as possible.
I love that. I'm really big on self-compassion as well, so I love that you brought that up.
Oh,
Brittany,
thank you. Yes, I love it. It's been such a beautiful practice for so many reasons.
it really is, and it's so important, and it's something that a lot of us struggle with a lot of the time. So very important to be very intentional and aware of our self-talk.
Yeah, it does. It's one of those things that has a physical, a mental, an emotional, and a spiritual effect, how we talk to ourselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's so, so important. Yes, I love that you bring that up. Brittany, this has been so amazing. Such a great conversation. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Desiree. Thank you so much for having me on your show and keep up doing the beautiful work that you're doing.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I really hope that you liked this episode and gained a lot of value from it. If you did like this episode, please share it on social media. You can tag me at The Wellness Project with Des on Instagram and at According to Des on Facebook. If you do enjoy my podcast and gain value from it, I would greatly appreciate your support. You can show your love and support by buying me a coffee. This will help my podcast to grow and in turn will help me to keep bringing on amazing guests. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/the wellness project with Des to show your support. All books written by or recommended by my amazing podcast guests are listed on my Amazon storefront. Go to the link in the show notes to check out those books. I would love to extend an invite to you to become a part of my community. You can do this through Facebook, where we will be discussing this episode. I would love for you to share your insights, any aha moments, any thoughts or ideas you would like to contribute. You can contribute in the discussion taking place in my Facebook group, and it's a great place to connect with me because I am in there every day with mental health and wellness content, discussions, reflections, journal prompts. It's a fun and supportive place to be. You can find the group at facebook.com/groups/according to Des, and that link will also be in the show notes. You can also check out more of what I'm doing on my website, accordingtodes.com. You'll find a lot of wellness blogs, written interviews, detailed podcast show notes, and my shop, where you will be able to find workshops, my self-care course, digital downloads, ebooks. There's a lot going on my website, so make sure you check that out at accordingtodes.com. And while you're there, join my email list to stay in the know about what I have going on and available for you. When you sign up, you will get your free ebook, The 5 Stress Reduction Techniques to help you feel more relaxed. Thank you so much for being here. I will talk to you next week. So until then, I hope you have a calm and peaceful week.